Hello out there in the crypto world, DeFi, IoT, Latin America. Hey, let's talk a little bit today about Helium, the subject of Helium, but I want to talk specifically, Helium has already achieved their milestone 3, and they're going into the milestone 4. To achieve that, the target goal is the first quarter, so the end of April of 2022, so this year. So in the next 2.5 months, what's that mean for our hotspots? Should you keep buying the regular hotspots that are around $500 to $1,000, or should you hold off a little bit for cheaper hotspots that are going to do the same thing in 2.5 months? Let's talk about that. Before we begin, I need to make a disclaimer. Here at DeFi IoT Latin America, we are not professional financial advisors, or are we paid by any company to promote certain products. We here at DeFi IoT Latin America, we invest our own money. We take our own risks. We learn, we make mistakes, and we share what we learn, our successes and our mistakes with you. So this video is for educational purposes only. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe, hit the bell, give us a thumbs up, and write to us what more you'd like to learn. Let's go in now and see what else we can share with you. Well, as we know, the Helium hotspots seem to be getting higher in price, but the one good thing is we're not waiting as long, right? Now, I don't know about you guys. I got my refund back just last week from Nebra, which actually was disappointing because I waited all this time since April 29th, if I'm not mistaken, of 2021 for my 6 Nebras to show up. And I'm not going to get them now. They gave my money back, which kind of irritated me because all this time my money's been used by Nebra, and now I just get my money back. The one thing is they're saying that we'll be able to access these other, this RockPi and so forth. We'll get first dibs at that, but it's more expensive. They're not as cheap as the other Nebras were. So the irritating thing is this, is that we paid this money, but now with the actual milestone 4 going to accomplish the end of this quarter, what's that mean for those expensive hotspots? Well, let's take a look at it. First of all, we go in here, Helium page. Let's jump right to Explorer and see where we're at right now. We've got almost 500,000 hotspots now synced and working, right? Now, keep this in mind. The Helium projections I've seen are like 1 billion, 1.5 billion hotspots what they're projecting to implement over a period of time. We've gone from just over the last year, we've come up well over 400,000 hotspots. Imagine now with more factories out making these hotspots, that it's going to grow even faster. But what's that mean to us? That mean we're going to get less HNT. We're starting to see some of that reflecting now with the POC V11, that whole upgrade that was supposed to come in and help us to eliminate gaming and so forth. There's been some glitches there. It's having some problems now with payouts every month. But what does that exactly mean for us besides all that other stuff with Helium? What's that mean for milestone 4 when they come to that point in their actual progress? Now, this is all part of the plan from the get-go. Let's jump here and see. We got 500,000 hotspots now. So that means when we get 1 million or 2 million, which they're calculating to be like 1.5 million by 2023. So that means like the next year, going to 2023, next year and a half, they should be at 1.5 million. Well, I think they're going to do that without a problem, especially with when milestone 4 is implemented, and it's already in progress. So milestone 3 we've achieved. Let's take a look at some of these real quick. Just to show you, I don't want to take a lot of your time today, but I want to show you something important for Helium. First of all, just going up a little bit and reviewing those of you who are on Planet Watch and do Planet Watch, you come here to Helium Ecosystems and go down and see all their ecosystems, who's involved with Helium, who uses Helium, works on Helium in their ecosystem to some degree or another, whether they provide it or whether they work on it. Look at here. You come to Aware. Yes, that is the same Aware that Planet Watch also uses, the Aware element. So you see some sort of a relation there. interesting, I thought, just to bring up. Another was mentioned in Planet Watch, that they in Planet Watch and Helium are in talks, that they've actually also have a type 2 sensor is going to come out that will actually mine planets, but on the Helium network. Okay, so there's going to have 2 devices now, it looks like, this because the Aware is a type 4. Now, that's not exactly a Planet Watch device, but that is a device that does mine planets on normally your Wi-Fi. But it looks as if now, I don't have found a lot of information on it, but it looks as if at some point the Aware device is going to be able to work on also the Helium network. What's that entail actually for us? I don't know yet. Just thought it was interesting to throw in there. Look, you can go also on the Helium.com here, and you can find out about the miners approved companies that are actually, and this is going to be important for what I'm going to tell you now. So you can actually buy, you can click on these too and go into a lot of their stores and see if they have these available or not. But let's take a look at some of these. Like you have a Curlink here. Let's see, you have the Curlink right here. The Curlink, now you're talking about miners. You know, some people say that Curlink is a data-only miner. I have 2 of them we got in now, so we'll bring them down and we'll test this out. Some people say it's a full miner. It has the price of a full miner. But what's the difference between a full miner, a data-only miner, and now a light miner? And that's what I want to talk about today and see how, and explain to you how it's going to affect your payouts and how it's going to affect you buying more hotspots. So right now, what we're doing is we're not buying any more full hotspots. Why would we pay that amount of money for a full hotspot when in a few months, and it takes that long to get these hotspots, in a few months, they're all going to be turned into light hotspots anyway, regardless, because that is where things are going now with Milestone 4. And it's already in progress with the intent to achieve by the end of April of this year. Now, will they achieve that by that time frame? Maybe, maybe not. They are moving along pretty well, though. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of this, what we're talking about. First of all, review. What is paid out in the Helium network when we have a full hotspot? So I want to review that real quick so you understand the difference between a full hotspot, a data-only hotspot, and a light hotspot, and what that means, okay? Let's jump into this. Basically, what you have on a full hotspot, here's the areas that they pay in, okay? So you have the POC, the challenger, right? The proof of coverage challenger, where it's rewarded by any hotspot that creates a valid proof of coverage challenge, right? And submits a corresponding receipt to the blockchain. Now the challengee, so this hotspot here, this is actually a Dragino, this is actually a data-only hotspot, but this hotspot here sends out a challenge, and then the hotspot that the challengee has been challenged will then come back with its data pack, okay? And so, in brief, these two get rewarded for doing both those actions. So, the challengee is then rewarded to any hotspot that transmit a proof of coverage packet, a data packet, after being targeted by the challenger. This is what's going to change right here. This part right here, where the POC, the challenger, is going to be eliminated from our full data hotspots that we're purchasing now. And this has been part of the problem with the Helium network, is because that's growing so much, there's part of the blockchain that actually on each one of those hotspots we have in our homes. And the internet in those homes sometimes is up, sometimes it's not. So sometimes when a challenge is sent out and the challengee wants to send a packet and they drop, that packet's not completed. And so it's causing a lot of hiccups and even payments in the actual Helium system. So what Milestone 4 is going to do is going to eliminate that. It's going to take that away from us as people that have our hotspots in our homes, a regular hotspot, okay? I repeat, this is a Dragino, which is a data-only hotspot, and I'll get into that in a second here. Don't want to talk long about this, just want to give a heads up on something that's coming right now. I think it's kind of a little bit unjust too. These prices keep rising for the full hotspots, and we got to wait so long to get them. And a lot of them we're going to buy now, we're not going to get them possibly until the actual light hotspot software, if you will, firmware, is actually going to then erase all of the block memory. And that's another problem we've had with these hotspots like Bobcat, for example. They've been actually not able to keep up with the growth. And so there's been issues that block the actual flow of information on the Helium network. And that has caused then hiccups in the system, and it causes a disconfidence in the system. So they're going to go move all that now. This right here, this challenger is going to move to the validators. And that's what actual milestone 4 is going to do. So it takes that away from us. So we're going to lose a little bit of money, just under basically 1% of HNT payout, right? We will then still remain challengees. So basically what's going to happen is you're going to have a total of 3,000 right now. Just as of yesterday, hit a milestone, no pun intended there, but they've reached a goal of 3,000 validators now. And remember, a validator has to have 10,000 HNT staked and has to meet certain requirements. So these validators have a more centralized database with a stronger and more consistent internet. It typically a lot of times be their own systems or a more reliable system that they make the Helium network more reliable. So they're going to send out the challenges worldwide now, right? And then we'll respond, our hotspots will respond to that. So now the validators will be getting that 1% to the validators. So we lose that, which is not a lot. Over time, it adds up, but let's take that away to keep the system more confidence, and more people are going to come on and use Helium, and that's going to cause a greater growth. Now, we're going to have this lull in our income, then we're going to have this rise again, and this stabling out, and maybe even a slow rise continue going forward with the inflationary idea of the actual, or I should say deflationary plan that cryptocurrencies are limited. So there's a limited supply, which means it's going to cause it to go higher in value, which is inflationary, but with a deflationary plan. In other words, the currency doesn't keep growing, right? So I think we understood that part. You guys are intelligent. I know you understood that part. So basically what's going to change here with milestone 4 in the next few months, apparently, could be delayed a little bit, but probably most likely between here and June and definitely this year, is we will lose that challenger. Now, will we get paid for the witnesses? Yes, we'll still get paid for witnesses. In other words, we'll witness one another, that the data packs are sent out, so that creates the blockchain and creates the security of the blockchain. That's still going to take place. And the consensus group, that already has been moved to validators. That already happened last year. The security, these tokens remain with the actual developers. So that's going to stay there with them. That's a word to Helium Inc., right, for their developers. So they have a stake in this too, which is good motivational, right? It's good to do with your people. And then you have the network data transfer. And that's where you get into these data-only hotspots, which, like the Dragino, right? This is an indoor data-only hotspot. And this is an outdoor Dragino data-only hotspot, right? So as of July of this last year, these hotspots here are able to actually earn, if you would, HNT, but it's not like you think it is. You don't buy them, hook up a hotspot, and you earn HNT. This is for actually developing data-only type of networks that will then link up to a full hotspot and then provide the HNT. The data-only, you get paid as much data as you pay, I should say you get paid as much HNT as you pay to have data processed. So you don't make any money on it if you do it yourself. The idea, the data only, is this will be an infrastructure you set up like with Joe Farmer, who has 10,000 head of cattle, and he wants to be able to GPS and track his cattle. And so therefore you can set up a data only hotspot in an area that will then be a gateway that go into a local hotspot or hotspots in the area that will then produce that data. Now you can set the system up yourself, but others come along, that data, that let's say cow 1 moves, or 20 cattle move from one area to another area, then who gets the credit for that data only? Well, that'll be processed through whichever hotspot picks them up, right? So that's that is the data only hotspots. So those do work now. As of July of this last year, 2021, those are now online as part of the milestone 3. But that isn't developing the actual network usage for third party, not for us as miners per se, unless you want to get into that type of IoT development. That's a whole nother field. However, And this is where we're going to get to now. This is where I see this part of the data only going to bring us back up again. I see, what we see here is we're going to see a lull because you see all these onboardings of Helium, and then you have these iHub Global going to come out more now with the the hundreds of thousands they want to produce, as well as other companies that want to produce these, put these hotspots in under their different plans. And that's going to create this huge network. Now, what's that mean to a lot of us? It means that we're not going to make as much money as we've been making for now. Now, let's go to data only. Let's jump to this real quick. We understand here, look at this. Go down here. Remember the payouts? This Challenger payout, we're going to lose it now, okay? It's going to go to the validators when Milestone 4 is implemented at some point this year, apparently in 2.5 months. We'll lose just under 1%, okay? We'll remain the 5% for the challengees, so that'll be us. We'll respond, and we'll make the 20.08% of 20.08%, almost 21% for witnessing each other as we send out these data packets. Okay, the consensus group remains with the validators. The security tokens remain within the actual developers for Helium, and then this right here, this network data transfers up to 35%. Now, understand something. This actually is created a little bit differently, okay? This is actually not going to be created directly with HNT, right? So that's a whole other thing I want to go into. We'll go into another video and then explain that a little more. What I want to talk about right now is this. So the video is not very long. I want to jump into the data-only hotspots we talked about. So here's the idea. Data-only hotspot, reward types. Network data forwarding, yes. So you get rewarded for that. Full and light hotspots for both of them are going to get rewarded for that. Proof of coverage, data-only hotspots, no. So you don't get that 20%, right? You're not in that 20% of distribution. All you're going to be involved in is in that 5% distribution. Well, actually, there's a 35% distribution there that's going to be created a little bit differently. What I want to focus on right here is this full and light hotspot, but more so right now, the light hotspots. What's that mean? That means that hotspot is less of a hotspot or less of a minor, you will, if you would, than a full hotspot. Not really. It's the same thing. It doesn't mean it doesn't really have a difference to it. It just it does not have to have the type of a memory that we need to have right now. As you noticed, they came out with just what, 1 gigabyte to 4 gigabytes now. So, and then you've got for RAM, and then you've got higher gigabytes up to 64 gigabytes of memory on some of these hotspots, right? We're not going to need that memory anymore. So they can be smaller, simpler, and easier to actually produce, and faster for the network to grow. So that means the network is going to boom starting this year. Here's the plus to it. Those data-only hotspots, I should say those light hotspots, I'm sorry, the light hotspots cost a lot less money. They're going to be around that $200 range. $250, give or take, right? What we're paying right now, $500 to $1,000. And that's why we here at DeFi IoT Latin America, we've already bought more. We've got some waiting to bring down. We've got some more going to come in between now and April. We're not buying any more full hotspots. We're going to hold off, because why would I spend $700 or even $500 on one when I can buy two and this can do the same thing? Look at this. Set up a data-only hotspot. We're not going to go into that today. Okay, we talked brief on that. What I want to go into right now is, I think it was here I have it. Let's go back here. Data only. Well, that was on data only. I don't want to go to data only today. What I want to go into is more so the actual light hotspots. So here, Milestone 4. This is a software update, all right? And what's going to happen is the firmware is just going to change them all. When they implement this update, boom, all of our full hotspots are going to turn to light hotspots. It'll be the same. These expensive hotspots are going to be the same as the less expensive hotspots that are coming out now. And I'm going to show you where you can get those soon, right? So I want you to be on the lookout for them. What we're trying to say is don't spend money necessarily. If you can buy two for one, better. And we produce this network. And then we'll get back to the data hotspots as we finish up, just in brief. So target completion, Q1, the first quarter of 2022. We're talking about now between the end of April, right? To prove hotspots, a network will be converted to run gateway RS and will be dependent on validators then to generate that challenge like we're talking about, and then process the witness receipts. So they're going to do that processing. It's more stable for the network. It's better for the network. It's going to give more confidence in the network. Work on Milestone 4 has already started. Then you can refer to the path of milestone 3 and 4. Now, on the yesterday on Twitter, completion of milestone 3. They're already advancing milestone 4. So we're moving towards this direction. Here is what I want to show you. What do these look like? Yeah, this guy actually has a really good site. I really like his information. He's fairly new, this guy, so I highly recommend if you want to find out more how all this works. We do a lot of research. We do our reading. We also go find other YouTubers or experts, or even the company that wants to have videos explain well, so we can try to explain it better to you how things work, as well as we do our own research here with our own engineers. But we try to give it to you the best that we can. Here, you're going to have here, SenseiCamp's going to come out with an M2 miner. It's a light hotspot. Nebra is going to come out with one. Nebra already has one too that's, like we mentioned, it's kind of expensive. It's a little small one. And Nebra, by the way, has a 5G that it's on their website. Interesting. And it costs about $1,100 versus you're talking about a 5G for the Freedom Fi, you're talking $2,500. So we have more reservations for Freedom Fi, but we're not going to buy them. We're going to stand down. We think the prices are going to come down there. If Nebra's going to come out there 5G, we're going to investigate that more first, though. So don't jump into that. Don't go cancel your reservation for Freedom Fi and come back and hate us for it. Let us look into the Nebra more, but we're looking at, hey, if we can pay $1,000 for the same thing that we're getting for paying $2,500 for, that only makes sense, right? Again, we can buy 2 of them for the price of the one because they're the only ones they price it. So Nebra has this light hotspot. Rack is going to have their light hotspot. Dragino light hotspot, which is not this. This is not a light hotspot. Remember that. This is a data-only hotspot, okay? And we'll get back to that in a second. You're going to have the Tectelic, the Kona Micro. You're going to have the Micro Macro. You're going to have the systems for you. Midas Light, Brown and Light. Brown and somebody that comes out. They're fairly new now. All these now apparently have been approved by mid-December of last year. And that was to reach that milestone point. So we should soon be seeing these come out where we can actually start pre-ordering these and ordering these light hotspots. So we here at DeFi IoT Latin America, we're going to back off. Now, we're working. We don't have any light hotspots in hand. Now, I'm not sure what that curling is going to classify as. I've been getting mixed emotions on that curling. Some people are saying it's a light hotspot. Some people say it's a full hotspot. Some people say it's a data-only hotspot. Bot 2, they finally came in after months of waiting. I'll bring them down. We'll hook them up. We'll tell you. So if you want to know more about that, hit the bell, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, write us to more information. We had some glitches. We'll start responding now every week. We're going to start responding to all of your questions. We're starting to get more questions. We've got more subscribers coming in. So now we're going to start getting to where we're subscribing. We're going to respond to your questions. We're probably going to do a video too every now and then, every few weeks, responding to your questions. So pay attention. And a lot of that we'll try to respond and explain even greater detail for time. And we can actually explain it better here and show you things. Okay. So we'll do that. And then when we get more followers, we'll actually start live streaming where you can live stream in your actual questions and we'll answer those questions here on the spot with our engineers, our whole team sitting here. Right. So that's where we're going to start going to after we hit, more subscribers and more people want to come in and do a live stream with us. Let's just jump back now, data only. So look what happens in summary. Now we got data only that the approved packages, you can run these packages, you can create these systems, and you can DIY, you can actually do your own data only hotspots and sync them into actual Helium. You can do that right now. That's been approved, that's already back online. But that doesn't pay the same way that a light hotspot and a full hotspot do. Like a light hotspot and full hotspot can do the same things in a few months, but they cost differently. A lot less money because a lot less input in there, and there's a lot less computer, if you would, in that light hotspot. That's what makes it light. It does the same thing. It won't produce any less. Now, what happens now with all these cheaper light hotspots and all these different factories coming out now, and they're going to come into the market, we're going to see us grow to that $1.5 million real quick this year. I don't doubt that. So that means our income is going to come down for a while. That's true. But what's that mean for Helium? That means they have more coverage. With more coverage, with more hotspots everywhere, then Helium can sell their services to a lot more greater audience, right? So the greater audience for services coming in, remember that's going to push the HNT price up. And that's going to give us the value that will then compensate for our dip in what we earned to the rising in the actual HNT price. So there should be this comeback. We should come back up again to a certain point. Now, if you really want to get aggressive on it, you come back to the data only hotspots, right? Remember here, you get paid for network data forwarding, okay? In this network data forwarding, you're going to get paid for actual data being forwarded. Back to Joe Farmer, or even some sort of a farm that has agriculture. These sensors will then be able to be linked in to your local hotspot or the hotspots around. And as more people come on and more people start using the data, you'll be able to pick up that data as well, which is going to pay out. Somebody else pays that now, right? And they pay it a little bit differently. It's paid in a token. It's paid differently. They're data credits, what they're paying for. It's not HNT, but those data credits can be converted into HNT at a different point. So from what we're understanding. So what's going to happen then is as the network grows, then you're going to see HNT coin rise. And then you're going to see the actual data being used, which will then be able to process into your local hotspots and actually help rise up in that 35% area, up to 35% that they will pay out. Now, how that's going to generate, I think it's going to be a little bit different than the actual limited payouts. Okay, so we'll get into that another time. And look, here's the advice at the end of the day. We're going to hold off on buying the more expensive hotspots because the the light hotspots now are going to be coming out very shortly. And so be looking for those. As they start to come out, we'll notify you, we'll let you know, especially in our Discord. It's wide open. Anybody right now in the Discord, well, I shouldn't say anybody, it's people who are serious that want to actually come in and learn, not just go in there and promote themselves. So if you want to, you can write us, say it's in the Discord. We might ask a few questions to fill you out, make sure you're somebody who wants to be in there. There is where we're going to also release first. And the Discord's free. We don't charge to get in Discord at this point right now. So get in, and those that are in with us are going to stay in with us. Probably we hope by this time next year, we'll actually then be asking for donations for that Discord to help sustain our channel. DeFi IoT Latin America. Hit the bell, subscribe. That's where we're going. We're going to keep you posted. We'll be experimenting, showing you how these babies are going to work so they can help you produce money down the road. Not yet. We got them already. But we're going to start experimenting ourselves so we can show you when it's time. And that'll come out a little bit later this year. Right now, light hotspots, be on the lookout for them. You can go in. I'll put the link down to this young man too, and this young man in this channel who's really good. He's really knowledgeable. Highly recommend you can watch him. You're going to have to stay with him for a half hour and really put your mind into it. And he can explain to you really good how all this is going to work. Okay. I watched a lot of different videos. I read a lot, and he explains it, I think, amongst the best. DeFi IoT Latin America. Don't miss us. We're going to bring you more.